Well, folks, after 3 or 4 times of trying to start my camera, I'll tell you. Anyways, that's not why I got on here. You know that little girl over there in the boxing Olympic thing didn't last a minute because of some guy, punches her a couple times and found out, well, she's in the wrong place. Or he's in the wrong place, I should say. Because what was interesting is they allowed it to happen. If I'd have been on the men's Olympic boxing team, I'd have walked up to that son of a bitch. I said, "Here, put your gloves on. Let's go." And he would have said, "Oh no, I'm not in there." You know what? I'd have cracked him in the face a couple times, dropped his ass on the ground. Oh yeah, they might have thrown me out of the Olympics and this and that stuff, but I wouldn't give a shit. It's like, there are just some things that ain't right, and that's one of them. I always find it interesting too, and on the kind of the same thing, but kind of not, is when men sit there and says, "Oh, you should never hit a woman." Well, yeah, you shouldn't, okay, but that's one of those things where depends on a lot of stuff. I mean, if a woman smacks you alongside the head or something, it's like, well, what the hell are you doing? Now, if she tries to crack you in the head with a bottle or a bat or something like that, well, shit, man, you can't sit there and allow that to happen. Or she comes at you with her claws and tries to rip your face off or gouge your eyes out. Well, you gotta defend yourself. So these men go from one extreme to the next. Oh, it never hit a woman. Well, if she's trying to rip your head off and trying to kill you, well, that's one thing. Everybody has to. They don't think they're idiots. I'm telling you, people are just morons. Because in war, you had little children, 8, 9, 10 years old that were running around. They gave them guns, weapons, and they said, shoot those bad guys, the soldiers, and they would. And of course, the soldiers kill them. Of course, this is a little child, but the child's killing them, shooting at them. Nobody wants to do that, but it's like they can kill you just as well as a grown man. And that's what I'm getting at is if a woman gets out of hand and then smacks you a couple of times, it's like, what the hell? Knock your crap off, But if, like I said, depends on the circumstances. I mean, come on. Get your head out of your ass. Just like that, Olympic thing. I mean, she didn't really know what to expect, She's trained and this and that stuff. I don't know. I mean, if she was going to be fighting a guy, she should have been training with a guy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she was training with women. And she did well against women. Well, yeah. But if you're going to be fighting against a guy, well, train against a guy. I mean, none of this makes sense. That's our world today. It doesn't make sense. The other thing that kind of torques me is the housing market, real estate, and that's going to drop. I mean, there's going to be a big correction. And it'll probably be bigger. It'll probably won't be just a correction. It'll be a crash. I mean, a correction would be home prices come down to where they should be. Like, well, that's a fair price. That's a normal price. Good price. But I think it's going to go the opposite. It's going to go further than that. And I was saying, like, oh man, that's cheap. If you're going to buy a house for yourself, okay, I mean, I get it. But if you're going to go out and be some big mogul and buy up a whole bunch of rental properties and this and that, Stop and think. Taxes are going to keep going up. Insurance is going to keep going up. Some places you're going to be able to get insurance, and some places you're not. And the other thing is, too, is, well, being a farmer, you hear things, you read stuff in these magazines and stuff. You know, they've been wanting to tax, CO2. You got trees on your property, grass on your property. Who the hell knows what they're going to tax you? And then they want to tax rainfall on your property by the square inch. I mean, you hear things, and you read things. So if they want to start taxing you on rainfall on your property also, and then let's go another step further. You're going to have to make improvements to your house to bring your house up to these standards, our codes, to make your house energy efficient, make it green, And all of a sudden you're sitting here like, man, I got a hell of a price on the house, but everything else is breaking me. It's killing me. Be cautious. Be cautious. So, but yeah, I figured I'd get on it. There's really only a couple of things I really wanted to discuss. Can't really think of, well, I can, but I always like how you get on and you watch these YouTube things. And you got somebody bashing somebody else, which, I mean, I'll do it. But I understand one thing. I'm a sinner. I know it. Okay? I'm no better than anyone else, and I know that. But some people sit there and they act like, hey, I'm a Christian, and then these people aren't, and they're bad and they're wicked and this and that, and they are. But they want to act like the person's a subhuman. See, there's the sin which God hates, doesn't like. Then there's the spirit, the person, and God says, hate the sin, but love the sinner. Instead of making the life worse and causing more strife and everything else by going out there and picking fights with people, it's like, no, you can still love that person, and there's nothing wrong with bringing my word to them, and then they can make their own mind up. I mean, they can have a closed mind or an open mind. And if they don't want to listen, that's not on you. It's on them. But if you hate them, well, God doesn't want that either. He's like, dust your sandals off and then move on. Don't stand there and get in badger and get into a fight and this and that stuff. They don't want to listen. That's fine, he says. He sent the disciples and stuff out into cities, and if he couldn't find someone righteous to take their in and feed them and let them spend the night and then be on their day, he said, knock the dust off your sandals and move on. And the other thing is, too, is was it Ezekiel or I can't remember what it was now. Ezekiel? I can't remember. I really shouldn't even say anything about it. But if you type in God hated, it comes up something like Ezekiel or something like that. Just type it in, because God did hate. All right. I mean, people running around say, "Oh, God loves everyone." Well, God had His reasons. And David was a man after his own heart, if you remember that. What did David do? Well, he got this great big giant, I don't know, 10 foot tall, I don't know how big he was. Big giant, Goliath. David, little guy. David says, well, I don't care. He goes over and gets a couple rocks, and whips that baby, smashes Goliath in the head. Goliath falls to the ground. Then he took Goliath's sword and chopped Goliath's head off. That was a man after God's own heart. Why? Because he took action against evil. He wasn't going to allow it. Do you understand? He sent David out, and David slaughtered. And he slaughtered. And people think it's the most horrible thing in the world when you listen to what's going on in Gaza and in Israel and all that over there, Middle East. Men and women and children and that being slaughtered. And it's a terrible thing, because that's how we're raised, that's how we're brought up. It's just not a normal thing for us. But you got to remember, when God told David to go out, and David would slaughter everything. He'd kill the animals, he'd kill the people, he'd kill the children, he'd kill the women. He would kill everything because God told him to. Now that was God telling him to do it. Who am I to second guess God? I am not. I can't. Can't do her. See, in my own stupid little mind, to me that's like repulsive. But God knows. God's the creator. He had reasons for doing what he did. And he told his people to go out and be fruitful and multiply. So they would just take over the world. Combat evil that way. You became such a large force that evil couldn't win. Evil would just be snuffed out. But we don't listen. See, God's the Almighty. He's it. See, we don't have the capacity to know what he knows and reason the way he reasons or whatever. We just don't have it. And we can't second guess him. If you look at the Bible, there's a lot of things in there. Like I said before, meek does not mean weak. And when someone's trying to kill you or harm you or whatever, you don't have to stand there and take it. And I don't care who it is. Now, it's God himself, that's another story. Okay? He has his reasons. But if not, well, You have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to defend your life, your property, your friends, your loved ones, your family. You have a right to defend them. Of course, they'll tell you you don't because of their law, because of the lawless one, Satan. You know, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but Germany had a constitution. Hitler had to change the constitution to do what he did to the Jews. They had to change the constitution. Do you see something going on here? You see, the propaganda had to start to tell you what a filthy animal and this and that the Jews were. They were subhuman and blah, blah, blah. So he could do his dastardly deeds against them. So people would go along with it. And a lot of what he did, he never told. He never let the public know exactly really what he was doing to them. A lot of the Germans were like appalled by after when they found out what he was really doing. They're like, oh, they were in disbelief. This kind of sound like this country, kind of like the government lies to you, keeps you in the dark, takes billions and billions of documents and classifies them and redacts them and seals them and all kinds of stuff and don't let you know what the hell's going on. You know, you already have two tiers out there. You know, Congress can do insider trading. You do it, and then you go to prison after they steal all your stuff. But it's okay for them. You see a problem with that? I could go on example and example and example on that. I mean, presidents, Obama, sick son of a bitch that he is, in his stupid book, oh, he's good at killing people. Why would you take great pride in being good at killing people? You know, oh man, the guy's name slips me. But it was a father and a son, and the son was an American citizen. They were over there in the Middle East or something. And of course, what's he do? He drone strikes them and kills them. It's like we're talking an American citizen here. Wasn't doing anything, having damn coffee or lunch or something. But yeah. And then we go around the whole world and we get involved in their politics. Who do we want to be the leader of this country or that country? And then we don't like what's going on here and there, and they just kill people. Do you see something seriously wrong? I mean, that's just pure evil. I mean, what happened to diplomacy? What happened to sit down talking? What happened to open channels of communication? You know, what happened to just plain respect? I mean, you see it. You watch YouTube videos and probably whatever else, and you see cops losing it because some guy, and they are, a lot of them are jerks. I don't have to give them information. Well, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Well, I can do this, I can. They're giving them a rough way to go, but they're really not doing anything wrong. And the cop gets upset with them. Simple. Cops looking for a problem, looking for an excuse because you didn't comply. You don't have to comply. That's the thing. I've said this in my older videos and stuff. You go back and watch them and stuff, and it's one of those things. I was a cop, and some guy was out there, on public property filming stuff, and I got a phone call where I got a radio dispatch, and I'd be like, all right, you got to go out there and see what the hell's going on. You drive up, look at the guy. Of course, the guy's going to tell you he has every right to do this, this, and that, and I'd be like, well, I said, just want to find out, are you a terrorist? It'd be a real simple question. I'd ask him if he was a terrorist. Of course, I'd already have him on camera, the whole 9 yards. If I wasn't sure, I'd pull my phone out and I'd take a picture of his face. Then I'd be like, well, if anything happens here, we know who to come look for. You have a good day, sir. And I just leave. I probably wouldn't even get out of the damn car. I wouldn't probably be there 5 minutes. I probably wouldn't be there just long enough to pull up, ask who's the damn terrorist, take his picture, and drive off. Let him stand there and argue with himself about, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, They get upset because he's out there taking pictures or filming a police lot. Okay. What's the big deal? They don't care. They film you. Hell, you're driving down the road and they're filming you. Their squad car's filming you. Camera in the front, camera in the back, cameras on the sides. They're filming everything. They got cameras on them. They're filming everything. But then when you do something, oh my God. Oh, you got to turn that camera off. You can't film me. Well, do you walk into Walmart and say you can't film me? How about Target? How about any of those places? They don't have cameras. You tell them they can't film you? Hell, a lot of times you pull up to these, larger cities and say, even some of these smaller ones, they have, what the hell, the lights, and stuff. Tell them you can't film me? I mean, come on, people. I mean, it's ridiculous out there. But then they get pissy and think they can put hands on you. Because, you didn't comply. And that's what the message they want to leave you. You will comply, but you don't comply, we're going to harm you, we're going to hurt you. And then prosecutors say they'll charge you with something. And they'll lie. Judges will lie. Everybody will lie. And they'll railroad you into something. Even though you didn't do anything wrong, doesn't really matter. Hell, they know, too. They'll just prosecute you just to bankrupt you. They'll do that, too. Yeah, it's an evil, wicked world we live in. That's why you pray to God. Ask for His armor. Ask for forgiveness and forgive people. I mean, you pray for your enemies not to be your enemy. You pray for them so they see the light, that God will come and provide something in their life, miracle, whatever. So they see the light, not the darkness. You don't do bad for bad. Somebody does something bad to you, you still, like I said, you got a right to defend yourself. That's different. But if somebody throws a cup of water on you or something like that, it's like, well, you don't throw a cup of water back at them. You're just keeping it going. It's like, well, whatever. You just move on. If they throw a cup of scalding coffee on you and burn you, well, tell you what, you better not have another one in your hand, because you might not live through it. So yeah, people. There's always an exception to the rule. Except God's. God's fair and He's just. Remember that. And we're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God. There's going to come a time here where they're going to enslave you. Well, you're enslaved now, but I mean totally 100% enslave you with their digital currency and so on and so forth. So you're going to have community. You're going to have to come up with your own form of payment or barter, whatever it is you want to call it. It's up to whoever's in the communities, and hopefully, you can work with another community, and so on and so forth, and you're all kind of like on the same page, and you all prosper because, well, we'll accept this, we'll accept that, and then blah blah blah, and y'all prosper. I mean, you should be working on community, people. Don't worry about all the other bullshit, because that's what this world is, full of bullshit. It's all bullshit. Everything you got, everything you have, simple question, would you give it all up for paradise? And I'm not talking about necessarily dying and going to paradise. I'm talking about Jesus comes back, knocks this devil New World Order crap into hell, stops it, and now it is on earth, it is in heaven. It's done on. So, and your children, your grandchildren, and your loved ones, and your friends, and everybody's just in a paradise, and there's no fear, and there's no starvation, there's no disease. Would you give up all your possessions for that? People, your possessions hold you back. Your things hold you back. Things you can't take with you when you die. I mean, right now you need, quote, money to survive. Do you see how they work that in? And see, you can't just go live off the land. Well, that's not your land. That's somebody's land, but it's not yours. I'm like, well, that's awful interesting, isn't it? The Indian, summer months, he'd go where it was cooler, north. When winter started to come, they'd go south where it was warmer. Survival was easier. They would travel. They didn't quote own the land. They used it. God made it for them. They used it. There was no money. They didn't have money. They worked as a community for the betterment of everyone, for everyone's survival. And not all white men were evil and wicked. Some would get along with them peacefully and live with them. But then governments come in and want to slaughter them. Tell them where they can and can't go when they had no right to tell them anything in the first place. Do you ever notice that? How governments just walk in and just do and take and do exactly they damn well please? They had no right in the first place. We could have coexisted for the most part with Indians. If it would have been fair with them. And that's the way it is with most people, most countries, most around the world. If you treat them fairly, and they're on the up and ain't stabbing them in the back and double talking and all this and that stuff, you can get along. And the world would be a better place for it. But when you go around killing people and blowing them up and doing all kinds of rotten shit to them and using your currency as a weapon and everything else, what the hell do you expect? You see, these people are doing this in your name. In your name. I don't want to do shit in my name. I want to leave people alone. I want them to take their weapons and put them back underground. I want them to take their ships and put them at the port. If you need them, you got them. But don't go around the world bullying people. We need to take care of ourselves right here. We got plenty to do. We got plenty to improve upon. So yeah, I could ramble on and on. I mean, I believe every country should put their own countrymen first. Germany, Russia, China, they should put their people first. We should put our people first. You know, if we have 10 bushels of apples and we only use 9, sell the 10th. Don't sell all 10. Don't sell 8. You see what I'm saying? Let it happen here, and then what's left over is fine. And if people need help, you help them. They need better farming practices, you go help them and show them how to do it better. Maybe they can come and show you a few things too, for the better. Man, wouldn't that be something? Forget about the color of people's skin. Forget about their sexual preferences and their religions and all this and that stuff. Come together for the betterment and to glorify God. But there again, you see, you got religion to come into it, and some of them don't believe in it. Well, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, because you want to go kill people in the name of religion. I'm sure if you ask God, he'd be like, well, no. Why don't you go treat thy neighbor as thyself? So, folks, I get out of here. We need people that are peaceful and negotiating and honest. I don't believe the government needs to keep information and a whole bunch of other things away from the people. They want to talk about transparency. There should be transparency. Maybe not in everything. Okay? Maybe there are some things you need to keep low key, and maybe not be talking about, and maybe there should be some top secret stuff. I get that. But you just got to remember, this world is all of ours. God created it for all of us. Not a few of us. All of us. And then they want to go and pollute another planet like Mars or the moon, or destroy it with our bullshit. It's like, really? You guys can't get it right here. I don't know. Instead, let God be God. Y'all take care.